What is up, YouTube? Jamie the Kid 00 here, coming at you guys with another deck profile. This one is going to be Zefra, but before we start, I just want to give a huge shout out to Rescue Cat Duelist for producing this wonderful Brionac playmat. She's currently got these on sale. They're limited to a run of 10, including the one that you see here. Pre-orders are available. I'm almost certain right now, or pretty soon, on our Facebook page, which will be linked in the description down below. But for now, I'm honestly, I want to give a kind of congratulations on creating her first product. This is an absolutely incredible mat, really good quality. So I definitely recommend you guys check this out if you want it. I think she's selling them for around, it was either 30 or 35. And as I said, this Brionac one specifically is going to be a run of 10. And I'm pretty sure we've got she's got another design coming out very soon. I'm almost certain it's going to be El Shadol Winder. So for those of you who are Shadol fans like me, that'll be one for you. Either way, I'm going to be bringing you guys, as I said, a Zefra profile. We're going to bring the camera down as I talk you through it. Ultimately, I'd like to give the disclaimer, first of all, that this deck profile is by no means in any way competitive. It's going to be a fun profile. The reason being, in my opinion, there is no competitive Zefra deck. They're all awful. I think Zefra is awful. I've been testing this and it is, quite frankly, awful. It does have some good plays. It's definitely a lot of fun. If you want to play against other fun-themed decks, this is one for you. And I know some of you complained in my last video about Necros Shoals when I called the deck fun, that it's expensive. Right. There's a difference between fun decks being cheap and fun decks being fun concepts. This is what we call a fun concept. It is not cheap. So sorry guys if you think fun means cheap. Obviously, if you guys want to play one of the fun, expensive decks, please do take it to Dueling Network or DevPro. You'll have just as much fun as the rest of us. But I am a very physical YouTuber, so I like to bring you guys the physical deck. So by no means do you have to replicate this deck. Don't spend money on it. If you want to have fun, play some DevPro or Dueling Network. But because I'm in possession of the cards, I figured I'd actually bring you guys the deck in the flesh. So I'm having fun with this concept. When I say it's bad, it does win games. It's not absolutely horrendous. Trust me, it's better than some old meta decks, but it definitely could use some work. This one is not dedicated to any of the typings, which makes my list worse than some of the other Zefra lists. Some of them focus on, of course, the Telenite engine or the Yangzing engine. Some of them focus on basically doing one thing a lot. This deck focuses on doing all the things as much as it can. Which of course leads to some clashes and then some infractions. But I tried to find as much kind of synergy as possible. I had to substitute out one card because for the life of me I couldn't find it, sadly. But this essentially, of course, the Necros field, sorry, the Zefra field spell has 4 effects. I wanted to be able to make a deck that could trigger all of them. So let's get into the list. So we're going to start off with the actual Zefra cards, the stars of the show. We play one Zefraxi. They're all pendulum scales. They all have the effect where you cannot pendulum summon monsters except Zefra and the monsters that the card comes from. So for this case, it's Yangzing. And that effect, of course, cannot be negated, same as the way Clyforts work. If this guy is special summoned or pendulum summoned, or special summoned from your deck or pendulum summoned, you can target a Yangzing or Zefra on your field, except this guy, and make it a tuner. And if this leaves the field after doing that, it goes to the bottom of the deck instead. So it's pretty good. This is essentially one of 2 tuners for the deck. We then play the Telenite Zefras in 2 Zefra Thuban and 2 Zefraxiton. I really like Zefraxiton because it's the biggest attack on one of our level 4 Zefras. Zefraxiton and Zefra Thuban are very, very similar. When they're normal, flip, or pendulum summoned, you can target one other Telenite or Zefra card in your monster or pendulum zone, and either one set card or one face-up card, and destroy them both. You can only do that once per turn, but these are pretty good for your removal in the deck. Then we have one Zefra Saber and one Zefraxa, the Necros components. Zefraxa can... I don't actually know what Zefraxa does. This will be the first time I ever read the card, so we'll read it together, I guess. When this card in your hand or in your graveyard... Sorry, when this card is in your grave or hand, if a face-up Necros or Zefra card except Zefraxa is destroyed by battle or card effect, while in your monster zone or pendulum zone, you can special summon this card. It's kind of cool. A really good application of that is if it finds its way into the graveyard, usually if you Shadol Fusion it from your hand, you can jump it out the grave when one of your Zefras or Necros dies. So that's, sorry, yeah, Zefra or Necros dies. So that's pretty cool. I then play 2 Zefra Core and 1 Zefra Naga. You already know what this guy does. Zefra Core, if it's Pendulum Summon or Sent to Grave, you can target a Zefra card in Pendulum Zone and special summon it. This guy is exactly the same, except it lets you add one of the Zefra cards in your Pendulum Zones to your hand, rather than special summoning it. So that's the Zefra component. Those are the only Zefra monsters we're playing. It's important to note that this deck doesn't exactly pendulum summon. It's not the main purpose of the deck. It can pendulum summon, but you shouldn't be dedicating all of your resources to it. You should be trying to make the synergy of all the other things work. So the fact that these are pendulum monsters is useful, but they won't always be used to pendulum summon. So you've got to bear that in mind. So we'll move on to the next component, which is going to be the pendulum engine of the deck. So we're playing one Necros of Clausulus to search out... Sorry, not pendulum, did I say that? Pendulum? Ritual engine of the deck. We're playing one Clausulus to search out the ritual spells. So we have at least... we play 2 ritual spells, and then the Clausulus has the 3rd way into them. We then play double Necros of Unicorn. Unicorn, of course, a really, really strong card in general because of the skill drain factor of it. And also you can ditch it to add back any of your other Necroses, so it adds a bit of versatility. We're then playing 2 copies of Necros of Brionac. Brionac, a very, very strong card at removing all the extra deck threats, and of course the search card that you've all come to know and hate in Necros. And then 1 Necros of Gungnir as our removal card. The interesting thing about Brionac is you can actually... Brionac and Unicorn is that they can be summoned off of Kaleidoscope, which is pretty awesome. And another awesome thing about Brionac is you can summon it off of Kaleidoscope by sending Shuttle Wendigo from your extra deck. And Wendigo can add back the Shuttle Fusion, which is pretty awesome. So that's a little trick you can do. I wish you could do the same thing with Gungnir, however, you have to make it without using any level 7 monsters. So this is the one card that's kind of awkward to summon in the deck. We mainly use it for hand trap, but you can use it if you need emergency removal. So that's all of the Necros cards. We have to, of course, keep the engines kind of small. And then we play a Shaddoll engine. We're playing literally 1 of every Shaddoll, because that's all you should ever need. You use them whenever you need them. So we play 1 of each of the main Shaddolls. And that's quite literally it. The main reasons they are in here is these 4 are for the very utility of them. This guy is literally in here to send either Shaddoll Fusion to the graveyard so we can pick it up by making the Kaleidoscope play I mentioned earlier, or it's in here to send Core to the graveyard off of Mathematician, again, if we need to pick up a Fusion. It's literally the only reason it's in here. So you hold it, you keep it in the deck as long as you can, and then you send it when you need to. That's the only reason it's in there. And then to assist with that engine, we do play the triple Mathematician, and I'm actually playing, in synergy with the Mathematician, 1 Glow-Up Bulb, because you'll realise in this deck, it's pretty cool that the deck plays Herald of Arclight, so you can make the Herald of Arclight as a way to search into your component parts, and Herald of Arclight also has a disruptive effect while on the field, which we'll get to in a bit. But use the Glow-Up Bulb with the Mathematician to make that kind of play. You can also use Mathematician with Zefra to make Metaphy's Horus, which is actually a really, really good card. When you use it with when you synchro summon it using a pendulum monster, you can steal one of your opponent's cards, well, one of your opponent's monsters, which is pretty awesome. So the bulb has been added to the list for that kind of utility play there. And then that actually brings us to the last monster of the deck, which is going to be BLS. We do get lights in the graveyard. I figured it'd be good to play a boss monster in deck, so why the hell not? But you're beginning to see how the deck is taking shape in kind of going through all of those various different engines. So for the spells, we're playing the 1 Regeki because mass removal is something you need in a deck as slow as this one. 1 Foolish Burial. Again, it's used in here mainly to access the versatility of all of the Shaddolls, but again, you can use this to send the Squamata to send one of the spells, so that's in there, it's just as an option. 1 Preparation of Rites, searching a ritual, guys, is pretty good. It's just a really strong card, so I don't see why we shouldn't play it. 1 Shaddoll Fusion and 2 L Shaddoll Fusion in the interest of space. That's why we have these send effects to search them kind of quicker if we need them, but otherwise you shouldn't need them all of the time. If you draw into these, you can cycle them, of course, with the fusion monsters, so they're in here if you should need them. 2 Necros Kaleidoscope. These are the only ritual spells we're going to be playing in the deck. You don't need the mirror or anything like that. Kaleidoscope has plenty of power. You could, of course, use it to ritual summon using guys in your hand and field. But you can also do it by sending... You can also use it to send Wendigo, which is pretty cool. Another thing I wanted to quickly talk about is one of the cards I was sad I couldn't find was a Necros of Catastor, because with Kaleidoscope, you can send Winder to the graveyard to summon Catastor. And Winder will of course trigger because it was sent to graveyard, even if it was sent directly from the extra deck. So that's kind of cool, but I couldn't find my Catastor, so we just went with Gungnir instead. But if you want to be really fun, you can play Catastor instead of Gungnir. And then lastly, I played 3 copies of the field spell itself, Oracle of Zefra. Oracle of Zefra, when it's activated, can add a Zefra monster from your deck to your hand. And when you ritual summon using a Zefra monster or special summon using a Zefra monster as a material, you can activate one of these effects. If you ritual summon, you can shuffle a monster on the field into the deck, which is really, really strong. Fusion summoning, you can special summon one monster from your hand. If you synchro summon, you can choose one monster from your deck and put it on top of your deck. And then if you exceed summon, you can draw one card and discard one card. So it's pretty cool. You can get a bit of versatility out of that. But it's mainly in there as a search card, but you get a bit of versatility out of the extra effects. And then for the trap cards, I'm just playing 1 Shaddoll Core and 2 Zefra Divine Strike. When I say the deck doesn't pendulum summon, this is what it's going to be using its resources for. You're going to be putting your guys into your extra deck face up. Zefra Divine Strike, when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you can banish a face up Zefra monster in your extra deck and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So it's a pretty strong card. That brings us to the end of the main deck. For the extra deck, it's hard trying to cram all of the engines in, but I think I managed it. But, I mean, if you want to make any changes, by all means, this extra deck is just the example of what I'm using at the moment. So, for the Shaddoll component of it, we are playing 1 of every Shaddoll fusion. You only need 1 of each. You should only ever need to make 1 of each. You play so many different elements in this deck, you honestly should only need 1 of each of these. But I felt it was important to include 1 of each for all scenarios. Honestly, I'm never going to use Wendigo, simply because I only ever use it to send off of the Kaleidoscope. But I thought the play was so strong we had to include the 1 Wendigo, and I'm happy I'm including it. But I will never summon this card. This card is absolutely atrocious. So the 1 Wendigo, and I don't actually think I play any wins as far as I'm aware. I'm just gonna double check, but honestly, I don't even play any wins. So you can't summon Wendigo unless you use Core, and I honestly have no intention of ever summoning that card. So that's the Shaddoll component. We'll put it up the top here, because everyone knows I love Shaddoll, so I don't really want them to leave. Then for the synchros, we're playing 2 Herald of the Arclight, because of the Kaleidoscope. It's the standard play, and you're also going to possibly synchro 1. 1 Metaphyse Horus. Shout out to actually Rescue Cat Duelist about this. She plays this in Ritual Beast because you play the Zefra and Pilica. This is really cool in that deck because, I mean, you can use it with the Zefra and Pilica to get that monster theft going. So Horus is in there, just a really pretty cool card. You only really use it if you're going to make that theft play because it's the strongest play it can make. The 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon and then the 1 Leo. Of course, these are going to be made with the Glow Up Bulb and the Falco, whichever one you should be using at the time. And then for my 4 Exceeders, I'm playing 1 Exciton Knight, 1 Larval Chain, 1 Tellarknight Ptolemaeus, and 1 Stellarknight Constellar Diamond. And that brings me to about the end of this Zefra profile. I've actually had a lot of fun coming up with the concept of this deck. I wanted a deck that lived up to the theme of the actual deck rather than just kind of played competitively, because in my mind this isn't a deck that can really be competitive. It doesn't have enough support, doesn't have enough essentially just power to keep up with the other meta decks. It doesn't have as much search ability or plus ability. Ultimately, it is a pendulum deck that doesn't have what Clyfort has, which is generating free cards and free removal. Everything in this deck is fair, which is sadly not something that not something that makes a meta deck or makes a powerful deck. So with that said, I hope you've all enjoyed. I've definitely enjoyed the testing of this concept, and I hope you give it a go on Duel Network at the very least, because you'll honestly find some of the coolest combos in the world. I tested this deck for a while with Trishula as well. You can make some really good plays with Trishula and El Shaddoll Fusion, like you'll see in my Necros Dolls deck profile and duels. You'll see some pretty cool combos in that. But otherwise, yeah. As per usual, if you've liked this, if you enjoyed this, please leave it a like. If you want to see more like this, please feel free to subscribe. I'll see if I can do some duel videos with this deck as well. If you think your friends would benefit from this, feel free to share it with them and comment down below if there's anything you want to ask me or say about the deck. Otherwise, I've been Jamie the Kid 00 as per usual. I'll see you guys later, and please check out the description if you want to see or make any pre-orders for this gorgeous Briannac playmat. But yeah, peace out, guys. Bye-bye.